Hello, I'm Hope Logan. I'm an actor on Bold and the Beautiful, and many people really love both me and our Bold and the Beautiful drama. So I've come here to share updates about my beloved Bold and the Beautiful. Everyone, please subscribe and support me. If you do, I will keep coming every day with new updates for you. The future of Forrester Creations had never seemed more uncertain, and as whispers of betrayal spread through the fashion world like wildfire, every headline carried the same shocking revelation. Hope Logan Spencer had officially abandoned the legendary Forrester empire and made the bold decision to join Logan, instantly becoming the center of attention throughout the industry. Unfortunately for the Forresters, none of that attention celebrated Eric Forrester's long-awaited couture comeback, a milestone that should have dominated every fashion magazine and news report. Instead, the spotlight shifted entirely toward Hope's dramatic departure, leaving Eric's remarkable achievement buried beneath endless speculation about fractured family loyalties and changing alliances. The excitement surrounding his return to the runway disappeared almost overnight, replaced by uncomfortable questions about whether the once unshakable Forrester dynasty was beginning to crumble. Every conversation within the fashion community seemed to revolve around Hope's shocking decision, and with each passing hour, the damage to the company's public image grew even more difficult to contain. As the dust continued to settle, an even more troubling pattern became impossible to ignore. Hope was not the first member of the extended Forrester family to leave for Logan, and that reality only made the situation feel far more alarming. Eric himself had once walked away from Forrester Creations to support Logan, though time eventually brought him back to the company he had built with his own hands. This time, however, the circumstances felt very different. Katie Logan Spencer made it crystal clear during her public announcement that Hope was not making a temporary move or testing the waters. According to Katie, Hope had found her permanent home at Logan, signaling a commitment that threatened to reshape the competitive landscape of the fashion industry. Those words echoed through every office and boardroom, leaving employees, competitors, and reporters wondering whether more defections might soon follow. What had started as one surprising career move now looked like the beginning of a much larger shift, creating an atmosphere of uncertainty that hung heavily over everyone connected to Forrester Creations. While the media eagerly chased every new development, Steffy Forrester Finnegan found herself standing at the center of an increasingly difficult storm. As one of the company's strongest leaders, she understood that perception could be just as powerful as reality, and she knew the future of Forrester Creations depended on controlling the narrative before it spiraled completely out of reach. Reporters wanted answers, investors demanded reassurance, and the fashion world watched every statement she made with intense scrutiny. Refusing to let Hope's departure define the company's future, Steffi prepared herself to face the growing backlash head-on. She carefully shifted the conversation away from the painful loss and redirected attention toward the exciting opportunities still waiting ahead for Forrester Creations. Every interview, every public appearance, and every carefully chosen word became part of a larger effort to restore confidence in the legendary fashion house. Even though the pressure weighed heavily on her shoulders, Steffi remained determined to project strength, believing that confidence was the only weapon capable of slowing the wave of negative publicity threatening her family's legacy. Behind the scenes, however, another emotional battle unfolded within the walls of the Forrester mansion, where Donna Logan Forrester found herself paying a painful personal price for the secret she had chosen to keep. She had known about Katie's plan to recruit Hope for Logan, but remained silent, believing she had an obligation to protect her sister's confidence. That silence, however, had now exploded into a devastating family crisis. Ridge Forrester and the rest of the family had already made their feelings painfully clear by forcing Donna out of the office, leaving her shaken, humiliated, and deeply uncertain about her future. As she walked away from the workplace she had proudly called home, a heartbreaking question echoed through her mind again and again. Did she even have a place at Forrester Creations anymore? Or had one difficult decision destroyed everything she had worked so hard to build? The weight of guilt, fear, and uncertainty settled heavily over her, making every step feel more painful than the last. Although Eric had been the one forced to escort Donna from the office, the emotional confrontation between husband and wife was far from over. Once they found themselves alone, there would be no avoiding the difficult conversation that had been building beneath the surface. Donna would finally explain the impossible position she had been placed in, revealing that her silence had never come from betrayal, but from a painful sense of loyalty. She believed she had been honoring Katie's trust, even though doing so meant keeping critical information from the people she loved. Yet Eric's disappointment would remain impossible to hide. In his eyes, marriage demanded honesty above everything else, and he believed Donna should have trusted him with the truth before the situation spiraled completely out of control. The emotional distance between them widened with every passing moment, as both struggled to reconcile love with the painful consequences of broken trust. Eric's frustration extended far beyond his own feelings of betrayal. What hurt him just as deeply was knowing that Donna had also kept Brooke Logan Forrester in the dark about her own daughter's life-changing decision. Brooke had been denied the chance to prepare herself or even understand what Hope was planning before the announcement shocked everyone. To Eric, that silence had robbed his entire family of the opportunity to respond before disaster struck. Now, with Hope's departure creating chaos for Forrester Creations and overshadowing everything the company had worked so hard to achieve, Eric could no longer ignore the painful truth. He openly admitted how disappointed he was that Donna had failed to warn the family, believing that even a small advance notice might have softened the devastating impact. His words carried not only anger, but genuine heartbreak, reflecting the crushing realization that the people closest to him had unknowingly helped create one of the company's darkest moments. As emotions reached their breaking point, the future of Eric and Donna's marriage suddenly became far less certain than either of them could have imagined. The love they had shared for so long was now being tested by secrets, divided loyalties, and painful misunderstandings that refused to disappear. Every unanswered question and every lingering disappointment threatened to deepen the growing cracks in their relationship, leaving both of them wondering whether trust could ever truly be rebuilt. At the same time, Forrester Creations continued fighting an uphill battle to protect its reputation, while the fashion world watched every move with relentless curiosity. The personal and professional crises became hopelessly intertwined, ensuring that every decision carried enormous consequences for both the family and the business they had devoted their lives to protecting. As new conflicts loomed on the horizon and old wounds continued to reopen, one thing became painfully clear. The fallout from Hope's shocking move was only just beginning, and the emotional consequences promised to change the lives of everyone involved. The emotional shockwaves continued to ripple through every corner of the Forrester family, refusing to settle even after the initial headlines had begun circulating across the fashion world. Inside the halls of Forrester Creations, employees struggled to focus on their work as conversations repeatedly drifted back to Hope Logan Spencer's stunning decision. Every designer, executive, and assistant seemed to have an opinion, yet no one truly knew what the future would hold. The atmosphere that had once been filled with creative energy now carried an unmistakable sense of uncertainty, as though the foundation beneath the company had shifted overnight. Hope's departure was no longer viewed as the loss of a single employee. It had become a symbol of deeper fractures within the family itself. With every passing hour, it became increasingly obvious that the emotional wounds ran far deeper than any public statement could ever reveal. For Steffy Forrester Finnegan, the challenge extended well beyond managing headlines or answering difficult questions from the press. She understood that confidence could be contagious, but so could fear, and she refused to allow uncertainty to spread throughout the company she had fought so hard to protect. Even as rumors multiplied across the industry, Steffi remained determined to project unwavering strength, reminding everyone that Forrester Creations had survived countless storms before and would survive this one as well. Every appearance she made became an opportunity to reinforce the company's resilience and celebrate the creative vision that had defined the Forrester name for generations. She refused to let Hope's exit become the story that defined their future, choosing instead to focus attention on innovation, upcoming collections, and the extraordinary talent still standing behind the iconic fashion house. Though the pressure weighed heavily on her shoulders, Steffi knew that leadership demanded courage, especially during moments when confidence seemed hardest to find. Elsewhere, Donna Logan Forrester found herself overwhelmed by emotions she could no longer hide. The painful memory of being escorted from the office replayed endlessly in her mind, each recollection cutting deeper than the last. She had never imagined that keeping one secret out of loyalty to her sister would lead to such devastating consequences. Her heart remained torn between two families she loved equally, leaving her trapped in an impossible position where every choice seemed destined to hurt someone. The silence she had believed was an act of protection had instead become the very reason trust was beginning to unravel around her. As the weight of guilt settled over her, Donna could only wonder whether she would ever be able to repair the relationships that had suddenly become so painfully fragile. When Donna finally had the opportunity to explain herself to Eric Forrester in private, the conversation carried the emotional weight of years of shared love and unwavering devotion. She desperately wanted him to understand that her decision had never been motivated by deception or betrayal. Instead, she had felt caught between honoring Katie Logan Spencer's confidence and protecting the family she had married into. It was an impossible balancing act that left no clear path toward the right decision, and unfortunately, the consequences had now become impossible to escape. Donna spoke from the heart, hoping Eric could see the fear, confusion, and emotional conflict she had carried long before the truth finally came to light. Her explanation was sincere, but sincerity alone could not erase the damage that had already been done. Eric listened carefully, yet the disappointment in his eyes remained painfully evident. More than anything, he believed that marriage should be built upon complete honesty, especially when decisions carried consequences capable of affecting the entire family. While he understood the difficult position Donna had been placed in, he could not ignore the painful reality that her silence had denied him the chance to prepare for the crisis before it exploded into public view. Even more heartbreaking was the realization that Brooke Logan Forrester had also been left completely unaware of her own daughter's plans until it was far too late. That knowledge weighed heavily on Eric's heart, making the betrayal feel larger than a single secret. To him, this was no longer just about Hope changing companies. It was about trust, loyalty, and the painful realization that those closest to him had kept him in the dark during one of the family's most difficult moments. As their emotional conversation continued, it became painfully clear that neither Eric nor Donna could simply move forward as though nothing had happened. Love still existed between them, but trust had been shaken, and rebuilding it would require patience, understanding, and painful honesty from both sides. The uncertainty surrounding their marriage now mirrored the uncertainty surrounding Forrester Creations itself, with both relationships standing at a dangerous crossroads. Outside their private struggles, the fashion world continued watching every move the family made, eager to see whether the legendary company could recover from such a public setback. Every new development seemed capable of changing the direction of both the business and the family forever. And as the fallout from Hope Logan Spencer's life-changing decision continued unfolding, it became increasingly apparent that this chapter was far from over, promising even more emotional confrontations, difficult choices, and unforgettable twists in the days still to come.